Good evening. What's going on there, guys? It is the Earthmaster here on this Wednesday evening, March 30th, 2022, about 7:28 p.m. California time. Latest quake on the globe shows a 2.0 earthquake in the Hawaii area and also a 4.0 in the California region. Let's go ahead and check out this latest info here. Latest earthquake activity showing a 4.0 near Round Valley, California. This sits just south of the Long Valley supervolcano. Looks like right around the Mount Tom area. Haven't really seen too much in terms of earthquake activity out there in the 4.0 range in this area for quite some time. But then again, looking at the all magnitudes, not a whole lot showing up here. Before we get into all the major earthquake activity taking place here, I kind of want to jump into a topic of PNSN network tremor, Pacific Network seismic network, monitor tremor into the Cascadia subduction zone. I sent them an email earlier this morning because they had this tremor map right here. Let me show you guys here on the PNSN.org network site. Monitors tremor up and down the Cascadia subduction zone. We'll go back to yesterday, and you can see quite a bit of tremor activity being recorded here in the Cascadia and over the past week as well. A large number of tremor activity taking place, including up around 1,000 or so on the 27th. We had a pretty large number there. Getting into today, though, today's activity still not showing anything. Actually, there we go. Looks like it just upgraded here, or updated as I'm speaking. That's kind of odd because I just checked it before I hit the record button. All right, so it is what it is. We got 850 epicenters of tremor. That's over the course of the day today. That's still a significant number. Jumping back over here, I sent them an email earlier asking them what was going on with the lack of reporting on their part. I asked them this simple email. I said, good day, had a real quick question I'm hoping someone can help me with. I have been studying the Cascadia subduction zone tremor for a while now. I look daily at the PNSN tremor map. Last night, I noticed a major amount of tremor added to the map when it had been absent of tremor for about a week now. Those days, which showed no tremor from days past, now show many tremor epicenters. Why the delay in adding those events? Thanks, and I eagerly await your response. So, they sent me an email back almost immediately from the PNSN seismic network there. Hi, Steve. We were experiencing some technical issues with the tremor map display last week. Data was still being recorded, but an issue led them not being displayed on the website. We weren't aware of the issue for a few days, and it took a day or two to fix. So there was about a week where the tremor map wasn't updating. The issue had since been fixed, and the data for the missing days displayed. Mackenzie Carlson, Lab and Outreach Assistant there from the PNSN network there, University of Washington in Seattle. So I appreciate them responding back. It just seems a little odd when the tremor activity kicked off here about 8-9 days ago. Kind of ramped up after seeing a major quiet spell. We had one day of about 380 epicenters of tremor, and then bam, nothing, zero. And it was like that for another few days, almost a week. And then they added up all of this data onto the network late last night after my update. And we're looking at a pretty sizable amount of tremor activity. I kind of want to go back here a few days and show you guys real quick. I'm waiting, FYI, I am waiting, I think we're all waiting, right, on the arrival of the G3 storm. It is delayed. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. Want to go back here to the tremor map, though, and kind of show you guys activity since about the 21st to today. We'll do a little search of that, and you can see a large number of tremor activity, looking at about 6,867 epicenters of tremor. And it stretches pretty much up here to the northern end of the Cascadia, all the way down here to the southern end, excuse me, into the Oregon region. Southern end of the Cascadia ends right here, right about in this dip area where we're seeing this little cluster of tremor activity. So this is a rather large amount of tremor activity. I don't recall the last time I've seen this happen. I do want to bring up the all data. Okay, so we're right here in 2022. We had a little uptick back in the end of 2021 before the major quiet spell. The last time I see something similar to this was about in the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. Look at this tremor activity here around the 23rd, 24th of hold on a second here. Let's bring this back up. See if I can get this right here. We'll just go back out a little bit more. We'll cover that little time frame here. There we go. So the 23rd, 24th of December, we had upwards of up to 1,000 on that day as well. A couple ones above 800. Similar to what we're seeing right here, but I kind of look back on this other data and we can't really compare these two because there's actually quite a bit of tremor activity kicking up on these two individual events, 2000 into 2017, early 2018 to this time frame right now. And you notice here these lines there indicate the amount of tremor counts, right? These long skinny lines. And of course, when there's a bunch of them, they're raised up higher, similar to 2018 and the 2022 event. But if you notice, there's a bunch of these large lines closely spaced together compared to years past where it's like a year, maybe 18 months, so on, and it kind of diminishes over time back before the tremor was really monitored. But it seems as though we're getting closer to these periods of increased seismic activity and tremor activity along the Cascadia. Seems like these periods of quiet spells are getting shorter. So what does that all mean? It's hard to say. I mean, does it mean that we're pointing towards an impending megaquake? Possible. You never know. I did do a search of the region here in the Northern California at the southern end. You can go down on any network and hold on a second here. Let's back out of here. This is Oregon, Northern California area. This station here is just northeast of Eureka, Arcata region. This GPS monitoring station measures, well, eastward movement, northward movement, and vertical displacement here, upward trends. And it looks as though, of course, we've been climbing. I think we've been climbing since 1700 or so when the last major rupture happened along the Cascadia, that major 9-pointer. So upward trend in the vertical department. They had a little leveling out here back in 2000, looks like 2016 or so, but over the past 2 years, a very distinct upward trend once again into 2020, 2022. So these are MMs, and there's definitely rising ground, right? When you get the subduction, you get the back building of pressure, which creates these the mountains rising. Eventually, I can't remember the exact amount of feet that it's going to drop, but when that subduction zone does do a full unzip, the coastal range over there is going to experience a downward dip in the elevation. So it's hard to say exactly, folks, what this is leading to. All I know it's a large number of tremor after pretty extensive quiet spell. But like I say, we're closing in these gaps, so to speak. They're getting closer and closer together. So it's something to watch, something to monitor. I'm glad these guys are reporting, getting the information back up and running. And of course, I do appreciate the feedback from the PNSN network. I just find it a little odd when the tremor really starts to take off, the system goes down. But it is what it is. Solar weather. Let's go ahead and refresh this. Checking out the latest data. We are expecting a G3 class storm with potential auroras down into Northern California. So I'm waiting on the arrival of this thing. We are getting a little bit of amplification here. This message was put out about an hour or so ago, almost an hour. An interplanetary shockwave just passed the Discover spacecraft at 0140 UTC time. Okay, now the current UTC time right now is 0236. So we're coming up on an hour since this message was put out. This is related to the M4, M1 CME events, which we're expecting. Solar wind speed is currently above 500 km a second, and the BZ component of the interplanetary magnetic field has shifted south for the time being. It is still very early, and rapid changes in the solar wind data should be expected. A passage past Earth is expected during the next 45 minutes, so stay tuned. This was over an hour ago, and I am still not seeing any significant changes on the charts. Looking at the real-time solar wind charts here, a little bit of a density here in the chart. You can see those orange circles there indicating the arrival, at least early arrival of the CME, the early starts of it, the early part of it, I should say. Speed is starting to kick up a little bit as well, and the temperature as well. But man, I am not really seeing this brunt of the system that they're talking about. Looking at the detailed forecast here, it kind of gives us a good idea of when we should expect the G3 class storms. That's 00 to 03 UTC time, right? And as I mentioned, the UTC time currently is 0238, so we only got another 20 minutes within that time frame of where we should be expecting a G3 storm. So it looks like things are running late, a little bit behind. I don't think it entirely missed Earth, but you never know. They put these forecasts out. Oh yeah, we're gonna get slammed, and it misses us. It just barely gives us a glancing blow. But I'm not counting. I'm not completely counting this thing out yet. I still think it's possible. That's the KP index breakdown here. They're still showing up here 0 to 6 UTC time for the KP index, 1 to 9. But we're looking at a 7, right? KP index of up around the 7 for the G3 class storm, and then mellowing out. So, we'll wait on it and see what happens. And like I say, it should be coming in anytime soon. We're going to keep checking back on it here very quickly here. Let's go ahead and jump into some earthquake activity real quick while we're waiting on that. So yeah, we got a 4-pointer into the Long Valley supervolcano just south of there. Looks like a little aftershock sequence as well with a 1.4. This is occurring about 9.5 kilometers below surface for the main quake, just to the northeast or northwest of Bishop. The rest of Northern California pretty clear. Pacific Northwest as well. Yellowstone still seeing some activity kick up here. Let's go ahead and check out the Yellowstone map overview, and still getting some swarming overnight this morning. Some spikes here. Those are localized earthquake activity there at Yellowstone National Park. Nothing significant, all under the 2.0 threshold. Some of those are probably under 1, but there's still activity continuing. And that's at Yellowstone National Park, around the northwest corner, just outside the caldera here in Yellowstone. Looking back at the rest of the map here on the USGS site, the USGS is reporting some of that activity. Still seeing it show up, so I definitely still appreciate them bringing in the data. Roughly about 122 earthquakes or so, and there's still more to add. I'm not for certain if they're in the market to add every single little 0.1 magnitude earthquake, although they should, right? But we definitely see it on the charts. We see it on the seismograph stations, and sometimes they put it on there, sometimes they don't. Pretty big earthquake out here in the New Caledonia area, just to the south of Vanuatu and to the southwest of Fiji. Seen a 6.9. This thing got upgraded. I knew it was a little bit larger. Originally came in as a 7.0, got downgraded to a 6.7. Stayed that way for a couple hours, and it looks like someone of maybe authority or a little bit more expertise in the seismograph readings upgraded it back to a 6.9. So a little bit of bouncing around there in the guessing department. Since then, we've seen 4 aftershocks of at least, looks like 4.5 for the lowest, upwards of about a 5.1 for the upper level of the aftershocks. Very shallow movement through here. Very shallow. The Fiji Islands region, as far as deep earthquake activity, remains really quiet. Very quiet. But I'm still thinking that this is going to change once this G3 storm kicks up, if it hits us. Some movement further around the Java Trench area, up through China and into parts of the Middle East, it looks like. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of major movement throughout the Atlantic area. We did have one Earthquake down in the South Sandwich Islands, 60.7 kilometer deep, 5.1. It looks like around the center area of the trench. South America has been kicking up. This is kind of a heightened movement here since since about yesterday. Looking at a couple fives kicking up here in the area of Chile and Santiago area. Some of this movement relatively deep as well. Got to watch this area. It's a major accumulated stress slip rate area. When it comes to a subduction zone, I think that's a pretty lengthy one at that as well. So that's got to watch that pretty closely in that region. Puerto Rico swarming up here around the Puerto Rico Trench on the north side of the area, and typical swarms down here in the southwest region. Movement off the coast of Guatemala as well. They had a 5.4 earlier today, and the big island out here in the Pacific showing some signs of life. Around the southeast flank, 3 earthquakes here within the last hour. Looks like 2.0, the largest in that sequence of earthquakes there. So movement north of Mauna Kea as well. Getting back to the solar weather, we did have an X flare, of course, kick off this morning. An X 1.3. You can see it right there on the solarham.net website. There's still a considerable chance of seeing possibly another X flare from this sunspot that is right up here. 2975, got dynamics here in terms of complexity. Okay, I'm going to spit it out. Complex systems here. Very complex in terms of the magnetic fields and the potential to produce, obviously, some more flaring. 2976, as massive as it is not super dynamic in terms of sparking, or at least flaring, that is. So 2975 is the one to watch now. Some further sunspots out here, 2978, and some developing ones further behind the main band that will be towards the Earth side here pretty soon. A whole lot of chatter on social media about CB radio communications today. All sorts of skip conditions being observed throughout the states. People being able to talk to California from Texas, Texas to California, Texas to New York on the Citizen Band radio. Of course, that's very active when it comes to sunspots and solar flaring. Something I was enjoyed doing too as a kid when I was I shouldn't say a kid, but in the earlier days of CB radio. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, X flare, X 1.3, that's a spike right here, reaching right up into the X threshold. Caused a radio blackout on the sunlit side of the Earth, which was pretty much centered around the North America, South America regions. Again, looks like these folks predicting, or at least forecasting, a 99% chance of a C flare, M flare at 50% chance, and 10% here for X flare. But I think that's a little bit higher than that in terms of significant flares. Still waiting, though, folks, on this arrival. I want to check out the space weather. There's a couple different space weather sites that you can check out. I normally use spaceweather.com or solarham.net. So these guys are saying the CME has arrived. Where? Got protons increasing there. Density 45.2, but see what they say here. The CME has arrived. A CME just hit Earth's magnetic field. This is the cannibal CME we've been waiting for. Really? This looks like a dud to me. At least right now, the observations do. It could spark a strong G3 class geomagnetic storm. During such storms, naked eye auroras can descend into the USA as far south as Illinois and Oregon. All right, well. We'll see, I guess, right? I mean, if it's arrived, it's arriving kind of like a lamb. Maybe it's going to go out like a tiger, or however that phrase goes. But, alrighty, we're going to keep an eye on it. Speed is up there a little bit, 505.3 km a second. And protons, like I mentioned, is a little dense. But nothing kind of like I expected here. I mean, the KP index chart right here just now showing, well, at least the latest update here was at the KP index of 4, which is not that big of a deal. That's not even a a G3 storm at all. So we'll see. 3-hour data. So this thing just updated here a couple hours ago. So I'm guessing we're going to see this kick back up here pretty soon with an update. But man, I just tell you, it just doesn't look significant at the moment. But we'll see, right? I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of shocked that it didn't take off as significant as they said it would. Let's see what else we got to cover, folks. We covered tremor. That's a pretty big deal with the amount of tremor over the last week. Volcanic seismicity map here. We can check out Mount St. Helens. I don't think we got too much going on here. Nothing being reported, at least here. Now I'm more hesitant to believe what they show on the map and more adamant about checking these seismograph stations for accuracy. And I think that's what we all should do if we want to look at pretty much raw data when we can access it as far as the public goes. Let's see what do we got here? A couple. Look at that earthquake, or those are S waves there from the. That has got to be from the 6.9 earthquake there in the New Caledonia area earlier. Yep, right there around 2300, 2100 earlier this afternoon, shaking things up, kind of sending waves through the earth. But earthquake activity, all that stuff, even one mixed in there in the shadow of those S waves, some earthquake activity there at Mount St. Helens. So, again, not being reported from the USGS or the PNSN network. Let's see what else we got here. We should probably go through all these right now. We'll check out Mount Rainier real quick, see what these folks are reporting. I'm surprised they don't have this loaded up with some further seismograph stations up there. I know it takes money, right? I know it takes money and time. Let's see what we got here. That's a mess of data to read. Let's see what's going on. St. Andrews Rock, Mount Rainier, Washington. Hello. Wow, this is a mess of data. I'm not for sure what's going on with it, but that one's pretty much unreadable in terms of looking at earthquake activity. We'll check this one out real quick before we move on. Definitely some earthquake activity right there, Mount Rainier, over the last hour or so. And there's the S waves once again showing up on the Mount Rainier volcano from that 6.9 earthquake in the Vanuatu and the New Caledonia area. S waves traveling through the Earth. As far as local seismic activity, looks like possibly a little bit. Nothing like we had seen on the Mount St. Helens area, though. All right, folks. So once again, still kind of waiting. I mean, spaceweather.com claims the big CME that we've all been waiting for is here, but it's not putting on quite the show that we're kind of expecting at the moment. But it's still kind of early, so I'm not going to call it a night yet. I'm going to be monitoring this stuff throughout the evening and see what becomes of it. Kind of want to see if it goes up into the G3, G4 class storm. I might get outside this evening and see if I can't see it here in Northern California. I am kind of in extreme Northern California, so and it's kind of dark out here where I live, so I'll be able to see the northern sky pretty well. Be kind of cool. If you guys get out there and get a chance to send it or see it, you can share it on any Earthmaster page, or you can send it to my email, earthmastermail@gmail.com, and I will show it on tomorrow's show, or tomorrow's update, I should say. Not on TV. And we'll go from there. It'd be kind of cool. I'll definitely give you credit for it. Just give me your location and a name to put on it, and we'll share your photo on the update tomorrow. So, all right, folks, I'm gonna jump off here. Don't have I'm kind of just a little puzzled on the lack of activity currently, but we'll wait. I'm gonna sit and wait. Barrett, Southern California, rocking a little bit. You can see some earthquake activity there on the live seismograph station. So Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, guys, have a good night. And if anything major comes up, this thing kicks into a G3 class storm, we'll be on here. Till then, have a good night, guys. Peace out.